Hi, I'm Ale, and I'm here with.
Sara Guevara.
And today we're going to be conducting a podcast based on what it is like to be Latino in the United States. We are both Latino, and this is a conversation that we were really intrigued by. And our focus really is to discuss and understand what it is like to be Latino in the United States through first person conversations based on experience. So for me, I am actually Guatemalan American. My parents were born in Guatemala, but I was born here in the United States because they immigrated when they were very young. They were about 19. They were both around that same age when they decided to come over to the United States and start their new life here. And for me, I am very, very proud to be Latino. It is something I take pride in. I love the culture. I love being able to be bilingual. I think I am very blessed into being bilingual because you get to experience two different cultures, and it is something that I think is very beautiful, but at the same time can be very hard growing up where your culture at home is something completely different outside of your house. I remember being young and going to school, and I was taught how to speak Spanish at first. So when I was really young, that's all I knew. I only spoke Spanish, and then I went to school and I felt like I did not have a place because I did not speak English, and that was not a language I knew. I couldn't really understand the other kids. I couldn't understand what the teacher was saying. I couldn't understand what they were trying to teach me. And it wasn't because I wasn't smart or capable. It was just because of that language barrier I had. And I thought it was something interesting that even though I was born in the United States, that I still had that language barrier and I still had sort of that cultural barrier because I was raised in this very specific culture at my house. We never spoke English. My parents, even though they have been here for a while and they do speak relatively good English, at home it was always Spanish. So when I went to school, for me it was like this very weird thing because I did not know how to speak any English. And it's kind of funny to think like, oh, you were 6 and you still didn't know any English, but it's the fact is I was at home, my babysitters were Latino, they spoke Spanish. The people I interacted with up until that age
Latino.
were all Latinos, so it wasn't like I had anyone to teach me English. Even like the programs I would watch on TV, they were all Spanish. They were Spanish kids cartoons. So going to school, it was something different for me, and I think that was the first moment I kind of realized like I'm not like these other kids. And it was kind of like this weird sort of feeling to go through at such a young age. And I remember it being very hard for me. I remember I was put into an ELL class, which was to, teach me English, and I was there up until 3rd grade. So it took me about 3 years to fully know the language. I feel like after my first year of ELL, I knew it. But what they considered to be passing was not until I was in 3rd grade. And I remember I didn't necessarily like ELL because every time we had to go to the computer lab was when I had to go into a little corner and practice these flashcards and learn how to speak English. And I wanted to go play with the computers, but I didn't get that opportunity to. But now I'm kind of glad that I was able to learn and pick up a new language and speak it, and going on from there, it just kind of felt a little easier going to school and being able to interact with everyone because now I spoke the language that everyone spoke. And I just remember that that was kind of the first moment in my life where I was like, oh, I'm not like these other kids, and it's kind of weird looking back at it now because now I do consider myself to be very different than a lot of other people. And I think it's something beautiful that here in the United States we have so much diversity. Grateful that I was able to grow up with this culture, and I feel like the way I was raised was very different than everybody else. I almost feel like not to diminish anybody else's work, but I kind of feel like the way that us Latino kids are raised and we kind of have to go through things it's very tough. I feel like at home it's kind
independent.
And we kind of are raised at a very young age to just become something of ourselves, when our parents literally walk miles and miles and miles to get to this new country, to this new land, and you go to school and you come home with a D. It kind of feels like a slap in the face for them.
A disappointment
because it's not that they're bad parents, because they really aren't. I think my parents have always just told me I want you to become something more than I became. My parents didn't get very far in education. My mom got to, I think, middle school before she had to not go. And in Guatemala, the education system requires for you to be particularly wealthy if you want to continue on and actually get a career and actually be able to choose a profession. And my mom did not have that opportunity. She had to drop out at a very young age, and she just began working with her mom selling food on the street. Same with my dad. My dad didn't have a dad, so he kind of had to take that sort of man of the household role for him, and he didn't get the opportunity to go to school either. So for me as a very young person, the first moment I was able to kind of comprehend what it meant for my parents to literally like not be able to go to school, that's when I decided that I was going to go to school and that I was going to become something of myself. And I think a lot of Latino children of immigrants can relate to that. That sort of, I have to become something because of all the sacrifices that my parents make. And it's something that I value a lot, and I am glad that I was raised that way, because not saying that I wouldn't have worked as hard, or like not saying that like if I weren't Latino, I wouldn't be successful, but I think that definitely had a lot to do with the person that I am today.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I feel like we're going to talk about the same thing, but I feel like what American people here don't understand, or most American people don't understand, the reason why Latinos come here to the United States is because truly, and I know we say this a lot, but we are literally just looking for a better life. If you look back into like our countries, there's a lot of poverty. There is a lot of lack of education. For example, my parents had to drop out. My mom, personally, she had to drop out at 3rd grade because she needed to supply for the family. That's how bad it was. My mom wasn't even able to even get to 3rd grade. My dad barely made it to middle school because he had to drop out and work for the family. So that's what a family looks like back in Honduras, in Guatemala, and all Latino America, or most of Latino America. If you don't have money, you don't get education. And it sucks, but that's why our parents like fight so hard. That's why they came all the way here to pursue something better, not just for themselves but for their family, and especially for those like people that come here who work to send money back home. And I feel like that's something precious. And yes, it's tough, but us kids of immigrants is like, we learn that, and it helps us identify ourselves. It helps us try to pursue something bigger than our parents, and it just motivates us to become something greater. And personally, my family was all born in Honduras, even my brother, my sister, and then they immigrated over here so they can pursue a better life, get better education, give my family back in Honduras a better life, a house. And then they came here 20 years ago, and then I was born, I came along. And my mom, like you said, always taught me to dream big, go do something bigger than my parents ever could. And I don't do that just to feel better about myself. I do that, and I feel like all Latinos do this. We work so hard so we can provide for our parents, because they fought so hard to get here that we want to give back. We want to provide them with the best household. We want to provide them with the best luxuries, because our ancestors fought so hard just so we can get here.
I think that's a very interesting point that you say, like, we want to provide for our parents, when in typical American culture, it's always the parents that are like providing, kids, paying for their children's college. And like, for me, we're not the wealthiest family. I'm not going to say that we're not blessed, because we are, and we're economically, what is the word, stable, comfortable. But we obviously don't have enough money to live lavish and to have luxuries. And I think for me, like you said, a dream of mine has always been to just buy my parents a house. My parents had a house, and because of economical reasons, we lost it, and now we don't, and now we've been renting ever since. And I think that for me has always been a dream of mine, to be able to provide that for my parents. And sometimes I'll be talking with other people that are not, Latino, different races, different cultures, and I'll kind of explain that, like, that's my dream. And I remember one time someone laughed, and they were like, that's your dream? Like, don't you want to, like, reach your profession of your dreams? Like, and it was kind of like all these other options driven about things for me. And I think that a big part of being Latino is kind of like providing for somebody else. Like, I feel like that's sort of embedded in us since we're young. Like, we do things to help those you love, and I really relate to that, because to me, like, that's my dream, being able to buy my parents a house, being able to make them happy.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like that is embedded into our Latino roots. Like, we've always wanted to provide for others, provide for our family especially. That's what I see in my family. Like, my dad still provides for his mom, and provides for the whole family. So I feel like that is something that we grew up with, and it's in our culture, and it's just embedded in our blood. And I feel like that is one of the things I'm most proud of, that we're very selfless. We're very like we want to help you out no matter what we're going through. Even though I don't have money, I want to help you out in any way that I can. So I feel like in that sense I'm really proud of being Latino in every single aspect, as well as the culture, as the traditions, as the colors of the flag. I feel like everything being Latino is something so unique and so special, and I'm really happy to be born into this community. And also I feel like as Americans, people who aren't Latino aren't like very aware of that, the diversity in the Latino community
inside of our own
exactly
community,
because growing up I thought that everybody knew what a Honduran was or where Honduras was, and so when people would ask me like, oh, where are you from, I'd be like, Honduras, and I'm like, oh, where is that? Oh, it's like in Central America. I speak Spanish. And they're like, so you're Mexican?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm
sort of assumption.
Yeah, they assume I'm Mexican.
Yeah.
And then when I say like, oh, like this happened to me, seriously, it happened, I was like, no, it's Honduras is like 2 countries below Mexico. It's totally different.
Yeah.
He's like, no, to me, like, I'm
You're
just gonna
Mexican.
install it in the Mexican community. So I was like, oh man, like that hurt, you know?
And actually it's kind of interesting because at one point I got so tired of explaining, like, and I'd be like, no, Guatemala, and they'd be like, oh, so Mexico, and I'm like, yeah, sure,
might as
whatever.
well. I don't want to
because
talk about it.
It feels like when you have to fight. I mean, now I don't like but at one point in my life, I kind of was in this sort of like, whatever, you know, just like, it's sort of like the whole, what's your Starbucks name? Like changing the pronunciation of your name to better fit
like,
somebody else's mouth.
Yeah.
And it's sort of, I felt like kind of that thing was happening with me. And then, I mean, now I will like literally sit there and explain where is Guatemala on the map, because I feel like, they don't know it. They don't know it, and maybe it's our job to educate them. Obviously, I feel like everyone should just already know the countries in Latin America. But if I had to sit there and educate you to open your mind up and make you more aware, then I'm willing to do that.
And it's so beautiful how diverse the Latino community is. I mean, like, there's like 20 words just to say straw.
Yeah.
Like in Honduras, you say straw by saying pajilla. In Mexico, you say popote.
Popote.
Like, there's a lot of different words for the same thing. And mind you, it's the same language.
It's the same language.
So, like, I get it that people don't understand the diversity because we don't even understand the diversity. But I feel like people should know, like, the most important things, that there's different countries and there's different accents.
And there was a lot of examples and instances where it felt like I had to be a certain way, I had to look a certain way, and it just all falls under this whole like, you're too white to be Latino instead of, and then you're too Latino to be white.
And okay, so like I grew up and my first language was Spanish, and but then I had to learn English, and so then after, you know, going to school, you find yourself speaking English most of the time because you're speaking English for 8 hours a day.
And
at
sorry,
school.
to add on to that, in ESL, at least for me, it was kind of like they learned how to reverse my brain to start thinking, because
in English,
to start thinking in English, because when you're small, I remember having thoughts in Spanish because that's all I knew. Like literally a switch,
like a switch.
Literally a switch where now I'm thinking in English, I'm speaking, I'm go home and I want to speak in English. It's sort of like just this boom, like switch.
And it sucks. And so then after a while, you find yourself having an English accent in Spanish, your primary
which
language.
Which is kind of like crazy that like that even is a thing.
Yeah, and so like personally, I have the like I thought I spoke well English and Spanish until I went to Colombia, and then people were like, "Oh, you're American, huh?" And I'm like,
right off the bat,
like yes, but no,
but no.
I'm American, but like my roots are Honduran. Like that was my first language, and so like hearing like, oh, like off the bat, I know you're American because of your accent. I got not offended. I want to say hurts because like I want to be proud about my country and like speak my Spanish fluently,
because even like I feel like I say some words in English and a lot of people are like, oh, you say that kind of different, you say that kind of funny. So it's like you
both languages, you're not like managing
you're not
enough.
And it's something I faced a lot was this sort of like, I don't even know how to speak. I don't even know what to say. I can't comprehend a sentence in English, in Spanish, or in Spanish. And it's sort of like this thing where, like, you know, a little background context, me and Sarah were both in Colombia a year ago, and again, like, I sort of had like this sort of people telling me like, oh, like, where are you from? Like, you're not from here. Like, you could automatically tell. And even like, and it's weird because you'll come here and you'll say like one word in a certain,
and people are like, whoa.
You'll say like, for example, like instead of saying like Cuba, you'll say Cuba, and then it's like
shook.
Whoa, like what was that? And it's sort of like this weird thing where it's like we get And I think it's beautiful, and it also comes with its hardship and struggles, but the
Yeah.
sort of like, I don't want to say best of both worlds, just like parts of both worlds,
Yeah.
where it's like, I remember like I could not, I remember I felt like I couldn't. I talked to my cousins that were born in those countries
And
and
they're looking
relate
at
to the
you-
same ways
Yeah.
and like sort of like the same things, because they'll talk about like, oh, their Christmases where they would light up fireworks and
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh, and I'm like whoa, like
I wish I had that, like-
I was never able to do that. And then like for like my American friends, I'm like, oh, you know, like Christmas we like stay up on the 24th and like at
Oh,
midnight
at
we
12.
open presents,
Yeah.
and that's a tradition we do. And they're like, whoa, that's so
we
weird.
open it on the 25th.
Yeah, they're like,
and
it's
in the morning.
Christmas morning.
So you can't relate to either.
Yeah, and it kind of felt like this.
I feel like, you know what? Like, the Latino community that came here, like, made their own culture,
yeah.
kind
Yeah,
of. Because, like,
we are our own culture. And I would argue that we are, especially, like, you know, Chicano specifically refers to Mexican Americans, but that's sort of like, you're from here, you're born in the United States, but your culture is back
Yeah.
in Latin America. That sort of, like, culture, because it is our own culture. I think, and especially now with so many parents coming over here and having children in the United States, like, definitely now I kind of feel like I have this place. I have people like Sarah in my life. I have people like, you know, some of the other people that we're going to interview today, I have them in my life who relate to me, who relate to this sort of thing. I don't even know what to call
struggling
it.
with the both worlds. I mean, like, getting the, I want to say the best and the worst.
Yeah, because
of
we do
both
do
worlds.
face that, and it's something that, again, I find very fascinating and interesting to talk about, because it's sort of like this, you don't really fit anywhere, but at the same time I'm kind of happy that I don't fit anywhere. I'm kind of happy that I am
Misfit.
a misfit. I'm kind of happy that I can say that I've had these experiences, because it does shape you into who you are at the end of the day.
And so with these interviews, we want to show you each perspective.
Yeah.
So, like, first we're going to start off with kids of immigrants,
Yes.
children that have their parents came here either legally or illegally just to chase a better dream. And then we're going to we interviewed some people that came here legally in searching for a better job, a better pay. And we're also going to interview people who came here illegally and who now are living a way better life than they were.
What we want to do through these podcasts is show different experiences. Like we said, a lot of the times assumptions are made about Latinos in the United States just automatically off the bat. And something that we've noticed, we do have some that we've already recorded, something that we've already noticed, and we're not even done with the whole recordings, is that there are a lot of different opinions in Latinos. A lot of people just assume that we all have the same political views, we all have the same thoughts, we all have the same likes, all the same dislikes, and that's not true. And I think it's something beautiful that we all can agree to disagree, because like we all do it in a very respectful manner. But through these podcasts, we want to broadcast that, and we want to do it through people who actually live these experiences and who actually have lived these different things. And we really hope that through this we can sort of open awareness and sort of understanding of what it is like to be Latino in the United States. So now I have my friend Brian, who is also a son of immigrants. And the first question I'm going to ask him is, what is it like for you being Latino in the United States?
Being Latino for me means being determined in everything that I do. And I believe this is because my dad has always been raised in a tough environment. Likewise for my mom, they just always taught me to be driven and always focus on my goals and what I want, and that to me means being Latino.
So as a Latino in the United States, do you ever feel like you faced any hardships?
I feel like as a minority, you automatically have to work twice as hard as someone who isn't, just in general, but also I had to face the struggles of a language barrier at a young age, which made my childhood way more difficult than your average 6-year-old.
So as a son of immigrants, how would you describe your parents' sacrifice coming over here to the United States?
Describe my parents' sacrifice in one word is hard work. My whole entire life, I've seen both of my parents work really hard to give me and my siblings the best life. They always found ways to make us happy, and even when things weren't the best. I appreciate my parents so much for all that they've done for me.
The last question is, would you raise your children in the future in the same Latino culture that you were raised in?
Yes, I would raise my kids in the same way my parents did, because I feel like the way that my parents raised me has taught me many things throughout life that many parents that aren't Latinos have taught their kids. I want to teach my kids to speak Spanish first, just how like my parents did. I feel like keeping their Spanish roots is something very important to every Hispanic family.
All right, thank you so much, Brian, for sharing your experience of being a Latino in the United States.
Hi, my name is Sex Lopez. Um, I crossed the border more than 20 years ago illegally. Um, Back then, I guess it wasn't so hard as it is now. But the only reason I moved from Mexico to the USA, it was more for the adventure. It wasn't because um, my family was struggling like so many people. That's why they leave their family. It wasn't really like that. It's just because I have some my dad and a few other family members that had lived in USA before, and when I saw their pictures and I heard their stories, um, I decided that one day, as soon as I reached 18, I was gonna move out from my parents' house, and that's what I did. I moved out, and my dad supported me. It was supposed to be just a 3 year experience, but ended up being longer than that. What hardships did I face? It was pretty much just being alone, being away from the family, and just not being able to celebrate birthdays and holidays, all the typical stuff that we used to do when I was younger, when I was growing up. Uh, the cultural the cultural clash wasn't really that hard because, well, actually, it was because 20 years ago in Seattle, there was hardly any Hispanics living in this area. So it was really, um, it was really depressed at the times, like to celebrate the Mexican celebrations, like, Independence Day or even Christmas. It was hard to adapt because the celebrations are way different from each other.
So now we have our coworker Oscar Olguin, who is from the Dominican Republic and who has just moved here from there 3 weeks ago. So la primera pregunta que le voy a preguntar es cómo fue su estilo de vida allá en la República Dominicana.
Bueno, mi estilo de vida ya fue, podríamos decir, normal. Pasaba bastante tiempo en el trabajo, la mayor parte del tiempo en el trabajo. Am, Luego la casa, mayormente fines de semana, pues compartía con amigos y la iglesia, pero am, algunos tiempos libres, pero la mayoría de ellos en el trabajo.
Mm. ¿Y cómo fue creciendo en la República Dominicana?
Am, bueno, particularmente yo.
Ujú.
Ok. Bueno, a pesar de las carencias en cuanto a lo educativo se refiere, pero bueno, puse bastante empeño en lo que fueron primero los estudios, luego el trabajo y lamentablemente en nuestros países como el mío, pues se necesita bastante esfuerzo y trabajo para poder salir hacia adelante,
Ujú.
pero por medio de la entrega, el empeño, el esfuerzo, pues pude lograr metas de estudios y poder desarrollarme realmente en lo profesional.
¿Y en su país qué era su carrera?
La comunicación.
Okay.
¿Y cuál fue su experiencia en moverse aquí en los Estados Unidos y cuál fue la razón por qué se decidió moverse?
Bueno, la experiencia, yo diría que una experiencia bastante extraordinaria, realmente, muy... realmente al momento de moverme acá, lo hice por la parte profesional, el trabajo, por desarrollo realmente. Se trata de movernos de un país subdesarrollado a un país desarrollado
Ujú.
y básicamente por una mejor visión de futuro.
¿Y cuáles son una de las dificultades que enfrenta a estar aquí como latino en los Estados Unidos?
Primero el cambio de clima, que es
Ya.
bastante distinto al de mi país. El cambio de cultura, aunque yo diría que en lo personal quizás no ha afectado tanto, pero sí a uno realmente le choca un poco por lo que es la parte ya de la organización. En mi país regularmente es muy desorganizado realmente, y pasar a este país que ya hay ciertas organizaciones, las leyes pues se cumplen en un gran porcentaje, diríamos, cosa que no pasa realmente en mi país. No se cumplen las leyes, hay muchas, pero no se cumplen. Pero eh, al ver realmente es algo como muy opuesto. Es un cambio o un giro de, diríamos, de 300, de 90 grados prácticamente, de ir a un extremo a otro, o de 180 grados, mejor dicho, de ir de un extremo a otro prácticamente, en cuanto a lo que es cultura, clima, y en cuanto a lo que es ya eh, las personas realmente y las leyes realmente del país.
¿Y cómo es tener que vivir en un país donde el lenguaje que ellos hablan no es el lenguaje que tú hablas?
Un poquito, es un poco difícil
Ujú.
realmente, en principio. Claro que siempre está la adaptación y el aprendizaje, pero es un poco difícil realmente porque es algo nuevo
Ujú.
realmente para uno. Y en cuanto al idioma también, pues se torna a veces un poquito difícil cuando no se
Ujú.
habla. Am, pero yo creo que uno va adaptándose realmente.
Y
Mm.
muchos latinos que se vienen aquí a los Estados Unidos mayormente dejan su familia. ¿Cómo es pues venir solo aquí a Seattle y sin su familia? ¿Cómo ha sido esa experiencia?
Esa es la parte, yo diría que esa es una de las partes más difíciles realmente. En mi caso,
Ujú.
tengo 2 hijos, dejar mis hijos realmente fue la parte más difícil para mí, y eso es lo que le temen regularmente la mayoría. Claro, muchos lo hacen realmente y lo entendemos porque están buscando mejor vida,
Ujú.
un mejor futuro para ellos y sus hijos, pero es el tener que dejar a la familia. Para mí es algo de lo más difícil realmente las decisiones más difíciles que puede un ser humano tomar, y en mi caso mucho más por la
Ujú.
distancia
Yeah.
realmente en cuanto a la distancia geográfica, en cuanto a ambos eh, países, o yo diría, bueno, a este estado de Washington, a la República Dominicana.
Y ahorita en los Estados Unidos el tema de la inmigración es algo muy relevante y muy, pues, ha estado dando mucho de hablar, por lo cual hay muchos políticos y líderes que creen que están en contra de la inmigración realmente. Entonces, ¿cuál es tu opinión sobre eso, de la gente que está en contra de la inmigración, aunque sea legal o ilegal?
Bueno, cuando se trata de lo ilegal, ahí yo los apoyo realmente, porque entiendo que hay que respetar las leyes de los países, y yo entiendo que para una persona emigrar a otra nación, pues debe hacerlo por las vías legales, con los papeles y respetando las leyes. En la parte, si es de manera ilegal, pues yo en lo personal nunca he estado de acuerdo
Ujú.
realmente, pero ya cuando se trata de que la persona llegue al país por la vía legal, obtuvo su papel, obtuvo su permiso realmente para estar en el país, creo creo que sería una actitud egoísta realmente.
Y las estadísticas dicen que más y más hispanos y latinos se están moviendo a los Estados Unidos. ¿Cuál crees tú que es la razón por eso?
En la mayoría de los casos es huyéndole realmente a la situación de sus países.
Okay.
Ese es el principal caso realmente que vemos, tanto legal como ilegal.
Ujú.
Yo entiendo que una persona que se encuentre bien en su país difícilmente va a salir si tiene buena educación, si tiene buenos trabajos, si su familia está bien. Pero lamentablemente en la mayoría de los países latinoamericanos, pues las situaciones, los políticos y sus maneras de gobernar realmente, pensando poco en la población, pues entonces eso ha provocado que sus ciudadanos pues emigren a otros países en los cuales creen que tienen una mejor posibilidad realmente de vida, un mejor futuro. Y yo entiendo que esa es la principal razón, huyéndole realmente a las situaciones políticas y económicas realmente de sus países.
Y ¿qué es una cosa o dos de que mucha gente huye de la República Dominicana? ¿Por qué se están inmigrando más aquí a los Estados Unidos desde ese país?
Bueno, en los Estados Unidos prácticamente es el punto, la opción prácticamente número uno para la mayoría de las personas, porque bueno, la potencia prácticamente número uno a nivel económico, pues sabemos que tiene muchos realmente beneficios. Es lamentable, yo sé que hay muchas personas que vienen a trabajar, pero lamentablemente hay otros que piensan como que acá el gobierno pues mantiene a las personas, los hijos y así por el estilo, y es una de las razones por las que buscan realmente este país. Lamentablemente han sido mal informados de que aquí muchas personas le han dicho, no, que en los Estados Unidos te mantienen los hijos, te dan el dinero, y yo creo que es una muy mala percepción, una muy mala información realmente que le ha llegado a la mayoría, pero lo hacen básicamente por eso. En República Dominicana, en lo particular, pues las personas quizás no tienen el gobierno, no le asegura la salud, no le asegura la educación realmente, y ni siquiera los trabajos, porque los jóvenes salen de la universidad y lamentablemente no encuentran. Entonces eso básicamente lo hace emigrar a un país como este, donde entiende que tiene mejores posibilidades, muchos de ellos, pero otros, como te decía, pues tienen la mala información y la mala percepción de que aquí el gobierno te lo resuelve todo. Y lamentablemente hemos visto que no es así.
Yeah. ¿Qué es una cosa que resalta de ser latino aquí en los Estados Unidos?
La fuerza de voluntad de seguir hacia adelante, de salir adelante, y realmente el compromiso, el trabajo. Entiendo que la mayoría, que los latinos realmente, en su mayoría, aunque lamentablemente hay muchos que no, pero en su mayoría son personas que desean trabajar y realmente avanzar en la vida, tener un mejor futuro para uno y su familia, pero y en su gran mayoría es en base al trabajo, al esfuerzo. Son personas que no miden realmente a lo que tienen que enfrentarse cuando se trata de trabajo honrado. Son personas que se esfuerzan, que trabajan y que no importa lo que tienen que hacer realmente para sacar su familia hacia adelante y avanzar en la vida.
Thank you so much, Oscar, for sharing your experience of being a Latino in the United States.
Okay, thank you.
I'm here with my friend Jairo Andres Amaya, who had visited the U.S. about 6 years ago and then came to Seattle about 3 years ago and permanently started living here around a year ago. He came from Colombia, which he had a whole career going on over there with communicating, radio station. But Jairo, I want to ask you, what was your lifestyle back in Colombia? How did it look like?
¿Cuál fue tu estilo de vida allá en Colombia? O sea, ¿cómo era un día, la vida cotidiana para ti allá?
So, okay. In Colombia, my life was very happy. I remember when I was a little kid, I was with my friends running in the streets without shoes, without nothing. I remember in my country, I was smiling all the time. I was with the music, with the guitar, playing football, playing soccer, driving with my friends. So I remember my life in Colombia, honestly, very happy. Very, very happy. Maybe without cell phones, without computers, without internet, but I remember my life honestly very amazing in my country.
So what was your experience like moving to the United States, and what was the reason you decided to move here?
My experience moving here honestly was very weird because I remember I was in the university. I was studying communications. I remember the opportunity for for come to United States, to come in the United States for working in a radio station. And honestly, I never in my life imagine be here in United States, never in my life. So it was very, for me, honestly, well, hard the first time because it's more cold, it's other weather, the people is very different, the people is other style for speed with you. So I remember in Colombia, for example, when you say hello to a girl, you give a kiss
On the cheek.
on the
On
cheek.
the cheek,
Yes. But here no. Here just hi, hello. I think in Colombia we touch more. We are more lovely for the other people.
So you show more affection.
Show
physically.
more affection. Honestly, show more affection. So I think it was very different for me. So this is the reality.
And being here in the United States, what has been one of the hardest things you have faced being Latino here?
For Latino here, okay. So I think it's not just about you are Latino, you know are Latino, or you are not a Latino. So I think the principal problem here is the people have attack for you. You are this, you are this, you are this. This is your country. This is your family. This is your life. So I think the problem is not in me. I think sometimes the problem is with the other people that maybe are thinking, hey, he is this, and I think this is the principal. This is very difficult for me. The people is sometimes with bad words about your country, your color. Sometimes the people see your background and don't like speak with you for your language, for your English. So I think this is hard, but know everything. Sometimes I can speak with other people that have a beautiful heart, but the principal problem is the tag. You are this, you are this, you are this. No, I am one human. I am a person. I have feelings. I have problems like everything. I have dreams. I am a normal guy. So I think this is the more hard for me in this country.
So, what was it like living in a country that speaks a language that was not your language, your first language?
Honestly, it's hard for me to speak other language. For example, in this moment, I would like speak more. But for example, I don't know if you know about the Spanish have more feelings. For example, in English, you have just one word for say I love you. But in Spanish, you have 20 different forms for say I love you. It's hard because it's other culture, it's other language, and I think sometimes the people when listen you speaking English, Mary, is really funny. I think honestly, I think my English is funny, but I try because I want to speak with other people. I want to make friends, different cultures. So the hard thing for the other language is when you try to communicate, to express your ideas. You feel that you don't have voice, you don't have decisions, you don't have people that want to listen you. I think this is the principal problem.
And how was the cultural clash?
For example, in December in Colombia, all the people is dancing, all the people is eating, all the people is louding. So I think in United States, the culture is more cold. Cold is more like I don't care. This is the principal problem with the culture. Is because in Colombia, the people is more happy, but I think that the people here feel bad, feel triste, sad, feel very bad all the time, know everything. So maybe I think this is the principal difference with the culture. Colombia is very happy, and United States is like a routine. It's very a routine. The life is very fast, express, and the family. In Colombia, the culture in the family is very strong. Family, for example, dinner is together. Dinner is together. The lunch is together. Is more familiar in Colombia. It's more familiar. It's more happy. So in United States, no. In United States is more work. My life, my own life. I feel good with my life. I am alone. This is my life. Don't touch my things. I am independent. So in Colombia, it's more familiar. It's more love. So I think this is the principal difference with my culture.
And what is one of the biggest things that stands out from being a Latino here in the United States?
I think in this year, be Latino, honestly is I feel proud of that. Proud. I have one reason. If you can see everything, if you are Latino things is like a moda.
The trend.
Trend because, for example, all the people want now sing with Latinos.
True.
The best soccer players are Latinos. You remember the time with Martin Luther King when this community was working hard for your culture. I think this is our moment.
Okay.
This is the Latino moment. I think the be Latino is a trend. I think you can change the world with your language, with your style. So I think it's our moment. It's our best moment in the history of the United States for Latino people. Is now. It's now. This is our time. This is our moment for make history, and I want to be part of this history.
So statistics say that more and more Latinos are moving from Latin America to the United States. Why do you think that is? Like, why do you think now more than ever people are moving over here?
I think it's normal because this country is safe. This country have opportunities. This country have a new beginning for your life. This country, you feel secure here. For example, in my country, in Colombia, if you walk alone 10 o'clock in the street, it's very dangerous.
Yeah.
It's very, very dangerous. If you are walking in the bus, in the public, service public, it's very difficult because it's very dangerous. In this place, you feel good. You feel safe. Honestly, our countries in South America, the people have problems with security. I think this is the big problem in South America. The insecurity, you can't be safe. And United States, you feel better. You have work, you have food, you have clothes, you have everything. So I think it's normal because the people that come here want a new beginning, want a new opportunity. I think sometimes bad people come here. I think this is bad, but it's normal. Honestly, I can be a bad person for speak bad about other persons, but I think the people want a new opportunity for me.
So, a lot of people and a lot of politicians are against immigration, whether it's legally or illegally. Well, if you had a person who was against immigration, what would you say to them?
I say to this person, Oh, it's so hard. But for be honestly, I say, okay, I understand your situation. I know you feel you don't like this situation, but maybe the history can change. Maybe you can be this person looking for a new opportunity. Just that, because sometimes the people don't. Okay, sometimes the people is with the closed eyes, can't see the problems because all the time was living in just thinking in owner things. But they people need open his heart for with mercy for other person. So I say, Amen. Have mercy for other person. This person need a new beginning, need una nueva oportunidad, a new opportunity in his life.
So, Jairo, anything else you want to add?
Okay, I have two words in my mind: inform or transform. Sometimes I think that the people with different cultures want inform about his culture. You know what I mean? Yes. Sometimes the people want inform. This is my culture. This is my country. This is my dance. This is my food. Inform. All the time, the other people is receiving information about your country, about your culture. Information. But honestly, I want to change the word information for transformation. I am a Latino. I am Latin for transform this culture, not just for inform about my culture. All the time, maybe a mistake from us, sorry, is give information with other people. Come here, come to my country, come to my culture, come to my food. But I think it's the time for not just inform, but come to other people for transform. And I think if the Latino people think in transform and not just in inform, we can have other country and other culture and other people and other a best rate about us.
So, like the best rating.
Yes.
Or like the best perspective
Eso,
of
yeah.
best perspective of what being Latino is. So that was my friend Jairo Andres Amaya. Thank you so much for being here with us. I know it's been a great experience for you here in the United States, and you have been a big role model to the Latino community on what it is to chase your dreams and be living with it.
Thank you, Sarah and Ali. So, just I want to say that the Latino people is making history in this country. The big things is making for Latino people. The new ideas, new business, new families, new opportunities in this country born in the Latino community.
So now we're here with my very good friend Carlos Javier Sivira, who works now at a radio station here in Seattle, but previously just moved from Miami, Florida, and has lived there for around 15 years. And he is from Venezuela. He lived in Venezuela until
2004.
2004, and he moved all the way to Miami, Florida to start a whole new life. So tell us, how was that move? Doing a big move from Venezuela all the way to Miami, Florida, here in the United States.
It was something really, really good. I mean, I love United States from I was a child. When I was 6 years old, we came with our family. I mean, I came with my mother and my sister.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother remembered that I say, and sometimes I say, when I grow,
I'm gonna live in United States.
Oh.
I don't remember that, but it was true. Yeah, when I was, I think 25 years, I started a radio show in Venezuela, and eventually it comes to United States, to Miami, and our satellite radio station start to broadcast for Latin America. So, like 2 years after that, they say, okay, we have a position here, and maybe if you are interested and you come here, maybe you can take it. And then I hang out and come. They almost when they are hang out, their phone, I was in the door. I love United States, and I can't really. It was so happy to come here.
Okay. And what were some hardships that you faced when moving to the United States from Venezuela?
I think the only hard thing was to leave my family, my mother and my father. My father died when I was living here, and I don't go to Venezuela to be there. Many things, but one of them is he passed away. So I mean, be there is not change anything, and we are doing our papers, our residence and visa, and I decide to stay here in Miami, and I think it was so hard, but to live here, to the adaptation,
To adapt, yeah.
yeah, it was a big thing. I mean, it was wonderful.
And what was one of the biggest cultural clashes, the biggest cultural shock from the culture in Venezuela and
Okay.
the culture here in the States? How was that?
Oh, I have one. In Christmas, actually in New Year Eve in Venezuela, it's like a big party. All the neighborhood,
Oh, that's
almost
cool.
all the city. If you are in Venezuela, I mean, not maybe not now, but in that time, 2004 and before, when the clock marca las 12.
So when the clock strikes 12, yeah.
Everybody is like a family.
Oh.
Everybody run and everybody hug. And it's really wonderful. I right now have 15 years, almost 15 years
Yeah.
here, so it's not something big right now. But when I was in Miami and I hear the clock 12 and everybody was, oh,
Just tap on the
congratulations,
shoulder. Yeah.
pásalo bien, te felicito. It was like a cultural shock. I'm not sure with the life in United States,
Yeah.
but in Miami we were surrounded by Hispanic people too. But yeah, it's different. I think that's the only thing in United. If you do that, okay, in Venezuela at 12 a.m. and December 31,
Yeah.
literally the people go to the street and all the doors are open, and you can enter to the houses of your neighbor. Even if you don't know the people, you can do that.
That's cool.
Everybody's happy. Everybody's enjoying that moment. Here, if you do that, you maybe probably you finish in the police.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true. Yes.
So I think this is a cultural clash.
Entonces, fue difícil cuando apenas llegó tener que aprender un nuevo lenguaje y tener que, ¿cómo se dice? Tener diferentes, how do you say interactions? Interacciones con la gente y no poder hablar el mismo idioma. ¿Cómo fue eso para usted?
Bueno, eso es gracioso porque no fue necesario. La cosa es que, número uno, en Miami, si tú hablas inglés, tal vez te cuesta más
Oh, okay,
que
okay.
si hablas español.
That's true.
Ajá.
Pero la otra cosa es que yo vine a trabajar o sea, prácticamente lo más temprano siempre estuve relacionado con hispanos.
Ajá.
Y cuando finalmente pude tener mis papeles para trabajar, estuve trabajando en un medio hispano. Entonces era un medio de comunicación, era radio. Igual lo que tenía que estar haciendo era leyendo en español, hablando en español y comunicándome en español. O sea, no hubo realmente algo así.
Oh, okay.
Una cosa graciosa me pasó un día, fui a poner gasolina. And I say, I want something like theory. And the lady don't understand me. So finally I have to put $29
Oh.
in my gas in my car.
She didn't get 30.
Yeah.
That's
29,
funny.
she understood.
No,
That's funny.
next month I will say 30. 30 is okay?
30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sé que Miami y Seattle son dos ciudades muy diferentes, entonces, ¿cómo? Porque apenas se vino como hace 2 semanas, ¿verdad? Fue 3 semanas, entonces, ¿cómo fue la diferencia entre la gente allá de Miami y la gente aquí de Seattle? En lo que es recibiéndolo, siendo latino en la ciudad.
Ahí sí es bien diferente. Aunque Miami es Caribe y es bien latino, yo creo que la gente acá es más, ¿cómo te puedo decir? Más nice, más agradable.
Oh, sí.
Yo creo que sí.
Ujú.
Yo creo que sí. Miami es más, también Miami es una ciudad más grande. Miami son 7 millones de personas. A todos les está pegando sol, así que no siempre todos andan contentos. Aquí no, aquí la gente está, el clima es agradable, el clima es como que, yo lo siento más amigable. De pronto, en Seattle la gente un poquito más reservada, pero más amigable.
Oh, okay.
En Miami de pronto no son tan reservados, la gente te puede preguntar cualquier cosa, te habla cualquier cosa, pero tal vez no tan amigables. O sea, pueden ser más abiertos y más rudos, entonces no es una diferencia.
What stands out the most about being Latino here in the United States?
I'm not sure, but I mean, our happiness. We are like, United States people is more like, calladita, más silenciosa, más respetuosa. Los hispanos no, los hispanos preguntamos, hablamos, hacemos de todas cosas, movemos las manos para hablar. Yo creo que eso es lo más resaltante.
Dicen las estadísticas que más y más hispanos están viniendo a vivir aquí en los Estados Unidos. ¿Y por qué crees que cuál es el motivo? ¿Qué crees que se está motivando más latinos para venirse aquí a los Estados Unidos?
Es como que aparentemente es la situación económica.
Okay.
Latinoamérica hay crisis económica, acá hay abundancia. Yo entiendo que es la bendición de Dios sobre los Estados Unidos, que ha hecho que sea una tierra próspera y buena. Y la gente quiere eso.
¿Y qué le diría a una persona que está en contra de la inmigración de gente latina o de cualquier raza entrando aquí a los Estados Unidos ilegalmente o legalmente?
Es como que yo esté en contra de la gente alta, o que yo esté en contra de la gente bajita. Hay gente alta muy buena y hay gente alta muy mala. Y hay gente bajita muy buena y hay gente bajita muy mala. So, yo entiendo que la inmigración ilegal es un problema. Yo en el país en el que nací, pues no me gustaría que la inmigración ilegal, que hubiese tanta gente, porque se crea un descontrol. Cuando la persona entra y no tiene papeles, pues puede hacer cualquier cosa y técnicamente está fuera del sistema. No hay mucha forma de monitorearlo. Pero una persona que está en contra de la inmigración por el tema racial me parece algo muy tonto.
Well, thank you, Carlos, for being here with us and answering these questions. I know that your story is really amazing, and the fact that you came here to the United States to work and to become something of yourself, and like pursuing the dreams that you had as a teenager here in the States is something that it's like being a big role model for those Latino kids who want to be something and that grew up in Latino America and want to come here to the States to pursue their dreams. And you're a good representation of what it is to be a Latino who's actually chasing the American dream and actually like completing it and doing it as of right now.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure. My pleasure.
So I hope through this podcast you were able to take something out of it and understand that Latinos are so diverse and we all have different perspectives of our own lives. People that came here legally, people that came here illegally, and like us kids that our parents are immigrants, like we all have a different perspective of what it is to be Latino here in America. And I feel like it's so beautiful that we could all like relate but also have our own story and our own background. And I hope you got to experience what it is, a little bit of what it is to be Latino and our own opinions, just to listen and to open up your mind and understand that the Latino community is such a special community. It's so diverse, so unique, but we also face our challenges. We also face obstacles and our struggles daily when we have to face the fact that many of us can't be citizens here. We are total aliens. That's what we are considered. Some of us Latinos, we're considered aliens in this country, but we love this country so much. It has blessed us, most of us. It has gave us a new dream, gave us a new purpose, and gave us the opportunity to achieve our dreams.
Yeah, and we just hope that you get something out of this podcast. I think it was a very amazing and wonderful experience to be a part of. And when, planning it and all the preparation, I didn't think that we were going to get sort of like we were going to get sort of the response that we did in the questions that we asked. And I think that's something that kind of teaches me a lesson. I kind of assumed the answers that we were going to receive, and we're surprised by some of them. And I think that even me, I was able to take something and learn something new from this. And we hope that we are able to do that with this podcast. And we hope that you were, and we just hope that
Sorry.
And we just hope that you were able to enjoy this podcast and learn something from it. So again, I'm Ala Castillo, and
Sara Guevara.
thank you so much for listening.